Hey everyone, welcome to the CS show. CS stands not only for customer success, but also for content secrets. This podcast explores the content secrets of customer success leaders.
We put the spotlight on content innovation and bring you the inside look at some of the most interesting moves made by customer success teams to address growth and scale using content.
We are your co-hosts. I'm Dina.
And I'm Guy. And on today's episode, we'll talk with Chilik Hochberg. Chilik is a customer success veteran and a VP of customers at Rookout. He will highlight the different considerations of creating content in small startups. We will find out whether there are similar challenges to bigger, more established companies and the different available solutions Chilik is planning to implement.
Let's get started. Hi Chilik, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me, Dina and Guy. It's a pleasure being here.
We'd love to hear a little bit about your experience as a customer success leader.
Cool. So thanks. So I've basically started my career almost over 20 years ago. I think it was before the time of customer success. Obviously, content was there always, but it was always around customers. So since my very early days as developer, I was always customer focused. And today, as Guy mentioned, I'm VP customers at Rookout, as well as teaching customer success and consulting to several startups.
Can you tell us in a few words what problem does your company solve and what industry do you serve?
Yeah, so Rookout is we call it a developer-first observability platform. We are helping developers to get more data on their code, especially in production. So the problem that we face as customer success leaders, when there's a problem to our customers, there's a bug or there's an issue in our solution, and then we come back to the developers and ask them to fix it. And this is where Rookout helps those developers to get more data and make the troubleshoot faster.
Okay, so your customers, your end users are developers.
Exactly. So I think one of the main challenge that we face is, for the good and bad, I guess, is that our customers are developers. They are a different type of characters, and they actually like content to be taken in different ways than maybe other personas.
Okay. And what exactly is your role? What are you in charge of?
So as VP of customers, I'm in charge of everything that is post-sales. So that means customer success, the business and commercial part of managing the accounts, our accounts, solution architect. So that will be our technical services and our support, as well as the entire business operations of Rookout. So all the integrations and all the processes around serving our customers pre and post sales.
Sounds great.
Thank
Good,
you.
So when it comes to content, actually on our previous episodes, we talked about large organizations which already have stable and measurable processes, and they use content to scale and improve their own efficiencies. I believe this is different when it comes to small and young companies. Let's start with a simple question. What is the business challenge that you as a young company are facing and as such require the use of content creation?
So again, as mentioned, our main persona, our main users, so obviously we sell to R&D leaders, development leaders, engineering leaders, and our users are developers. And I think one of the main challenges is the way of communication with developers. Most of developers work today with all the chat communication, so that would be Slack or Teams. And I think one of the main challenges to, aggregate those communication channels in one place. So think about it that you have one customer that approach you through Intercom, one customer that approach you through Teams, one customer that approach you through Slack, and how do you first jump between those applications, and second, how do you aggregate this data, which is kind of unstructured data, into a place that you can actually learn from the data on one hand, and on the other hand, use the data that you answered or the answers that you gave on those channels throughout to your customers, to your internal teams, etc.
And this challenge is obviously from a Rookout perspective. You get your developers, I guess, sending or communicating with you, as you mentioned, with different channels. What will be the ultimate solution from your perspective to try and gather this unstructured data? What will be considered as a good outcome from whatever you want to try and achieve with this initiative?
So I think the dream or the vision is that my solution architects, my team would be able to basically use one tool to answer all queries in one place. So that would be that I will have one interface to answer Slack requests, Intercom requests, Teams requests, and we actually have a customer that is now working with Google Workspaces, or I think it's called like that. So that's either another one, and we try to accommodate everyone because we want that communication and we want to be where our customers are, right? So if they are using Google Workspaces, this is where we want to be because this is where they will speak with us. So this is on the communication level, and on the content level, and that's basically what we already started to do, is to use integrations between those tools and our CRM to get the information and document it mostly as tickets, so we can actually learn what are the issues, what are the questions that are raised, so we can create a repeatable answers and make sure we have the right documentation going forward.
Okay, thanks. And I'm interested to know, this is a customer success led or initiative, and what about the product team? How you guys are coordinated with the product team? My assumption is that this is going to be relevant for them as well. So interested to see if there's any collaboration with them.
So obviously there is. There is, because eventually those queries that comes in Slack, some of them are external Slack channels, some of them are internal Slack channels, and those needs to be converted into content that eventually serves our customers and serves our internal teams to prevent the hurdle and the repeated questions to our product and product engineering teams, right? So they have an incentive to have this working as well. I think we already saw that, one of the very interesting things, we just started implementing these processes somewhere in October, and we already see that the amount of documented inquiries from customers in Q4 is bigger. So the number is bigger than the overall number of inquiries in the first 3 quarters, which means that we actually documented the information, and the reason that is bigger is because not because there were more queries, is because those queries back then were not documented. So I think that's very, very interesting.
While an established company has data and knowledge of what they need in terms of content, a young company needs to figure this out. How would you approach this challenge?
So I'm to be honest, I think that every company has, those content challenges. Even if you have processes, they change. So as a young company, obviously, you need to figure out what is your, what is the challenge, where I think in bigger company, maybe it's easier to figure out, or you have more tools or more bandwidth to handle it. So that's one of the challenge. I think one of the things that kind of caught me into that specific matter was that I felt that I don't know what's happening. I lacked the data to really understand, again, where is our problems with our service and with the product. So, for example, if I know that I get a lot of inquiries on login access, then I can go back to product and tell them, here there's the data. I have, I don't know, 10 calls a day about login access. Please help me to fix it. If I don't have the ability to track this data, then I wouldn't know, right? And then it will be, I would repeating answering customers without the ability to go back to whoever can give me that service and fix this problem.
Okay, so you mentioned the repetitive issues or cases. Can you provide an example to a repetitive issue and how it should be converted to user-end content or knowledge item?
The clear examples is repeated issues in the system, which if you're able to convert the unstructured data into structured data, then it's easy to understand the capacity of these problems and take actions. The other is obviously documentations of how you solve problems. So, for example, if there is a problem that was solved, and for example, one of us asked our engineers about a question came from a customer problem, and they gave us an answer. If it kind of stays within Slack, then unfortunately, it's very hard to figure out how to fix it if this problem comes again. So people, some people remind, they have good memories and they say, oh yeah, we remember like 6 months ago we had the same problem, and they actually remember where to look for the information. But if it's not in a common ground documentation, a place, and you don't put it in your documentation, your customer documentation, or your shared folder for documentation, then it's unlikely to be found unless that person, we actually have this Slack search guru, one of our VPs that, he's probably the only one that can find the information in Slack. He has like this great memory and everything, but you can't rely on that. You need to have a structured way of documenting the information. And when you have this process of tracking it, then you can then apply measures of content so you can find it later on and use it.
Of course. And at what point it's no longer possible to continue with the unstructured knowledge and it's necessary to structure and manage it?
I think obviously you can do it. It's not a matter of not possible. It's a matter of, again, priority and how much time it takes and how much you want your business to be efficient. I think if you want your business to be efficient, then you need to start as early as possible to make sure that information and data, I think data is the king, is captured and structured in a way that you can learn from it. When it's unstructured, then mostly you can't learn from it. It's hard to find the information. It's hard to make it repeatable. It's hard to make processes. And in my opinion, that's something that needs to start as soon as possible. So from the early days. I think that the challenge of starting early is that normally when you start early, there's not enough people to do it. And a lot of the time you find yourself doing it, for yourself, for the greater good. And it's just harder to maintain. Whereas when you have a team and you have many people that are following a process, then you can track and it's not, you can see the value more, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Can you think of ways to measure the effectiveness of the process? Will you be able to measure whether the earlier issues which triggered content creation are no longer reported by your users?
So I think first and foremost, the data I just shared of the fact that we know how many inquiries came in from all channels. I think that's a major step. Later on, you can also measure the different, how many inquiries came from that channel or this channel, and it helps you to focus on where you need to do more. I think the other point that we're looking at, that it's more of a from the support perspective, is the amount of issues that were escalated to our engineering team, the product and engineering team. So assuming that we manage and we know the problems and we can create repeated answers, then the number of those cases that we escalate to our product and engineering team will go down. So I think that's will give us the indication that we're doing what we're planning to do.
Interesting.
Chilik, so it seems that the solution you are planning and executing is not just for creating content for your end users, but also for your own internal needs. So I'm interested to understand if eventually all the information, as you mentioned, the issues, technical problems, support, all consolidated to one knowledge base, which serves both internally and externally, or you guys keeping two different knowledge bases?
So that's a good question. In general, all our external documentation is captured in our docs, over the internet. So obviously, some of this information is going there and serves our external customers. But there's also an internal knowledge base. From our perspective, the customers are, it's seamless to our end users. They obviously don't know that we have this issue, or how we track the conversations, or what we do with them, etc. It's mostly on how we manage it and make it more efficient. And I think the result for the customer is that, one, they would have more information over our documentation, our external documentation, and more accurate one. And two is that I think we will do a better job in answering them, because if we have already answered questions and we have good knowledge base internally, then our responses would be faster, right? So we don't need to go back to our product engineering and ask everything. So this back and forth is basically safe. So I think from just to kind of summarize, from the customer perspective, it should be seamless, but they should see even a better service than we give today. Internally, that would make us more efficient and make us focus on the more complex issues rather than the simplest one that we already answered.
Thank you. And in terms of the process, just one more question. So you gather the information, you're able to extract the relevant pieces of knowledge before they are made available to the end users. Is there any internal process, for example, product or engineering needs to reapprove it, technical writer will do some work on it, or the way that you are capturing this information, this is how it's being exposed to end users?
So today, the external documentation that we share with our customers is managed by our product management team. So anything that will go there will go through product review, will be put on the external knowledge base, basically, or external documentation. The internal documentation is internal, so there's no need for review, but it's obviously shared with the relevant product manager.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Chilik, for sharing your experience and for this awesome conversation today. We enjoyed it very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
So, Guy, what are your main takeaways from today's episode?
First of all, very interesting conversation with Chilik. I had noted three important takeaways. First of all, as with many other aspects of customer success, content is also not one size fits all. In this case, for young and small companies like Rookout, naturally they are less focused on content to begin with. They just try to solve their challenges in the most effective way. And in this case, we've seen that with content creation, this is just another way for them to overcome some challenges that they have with their end users' inquiries and end user issues. Maybe it wasn't their first priority, but as they grow, as they develop their solution and get more and more users, they find that they actually, or they see that they have to use content as well as one of their solutions. The second takeaway is about the way that companies, especially in like Rookout, who are interacting with developers, so they have to be aligned with the same communication channels that developers use, like Slack, Microsoft Teams, and Intercom. And it's becoming, and from a customer success perspective, customer management perspective, the Slack is becoming more and more used for customer communication. And Rookout are trying to leverage this technology, which is very much what they should do. But Slack also have some limitations in search, some deficiencies in searching unstructured data. And as such, Rookout are looking for their own creative way to search this unstructured content, find those relevant issues, problems, inquiries that customers or their end users have with the relevant solutions, and then consolidate them to a help guide or user guides to address those issues and help their end user eventually to get all the answers they need efficiently and quickly. The third takeaway is very simple, as we've seen also with Inbar in the last episode. Those knowledge bases, knowledge items are not just relevant for the external users, but they are also relevant for the internal teams, because eventually this information is used both internally and externally. Product teams, engineering teams, customer success and support teams, all of them eventually feed this knowledge base based on their interaction with their end users, but at the same time, they need this knowledge base to be able to use it and reuse it in the future. So these are my takeaways from the conversation we had with Chilik.
Thanks, Guy. So thank you everyone for being with us today. We hope you enjoyed the episode. Please share it with your colleagues and stay tuned for our next episode. See you next time.
See you. Bye-bye, Dina.
Bye.